On paper, Group A appears to be one of the most difficult to predict, as all four teams, including host South Africa, have a decent shot at advancing. France is the highest-ranked team according to FIFA, weighing in at number 9 in the world, and it's hard to argue that the French don't have the most talented team in the group. Despite its immense skill level, France appears to have a very weak psyche right now. The team doesn't appear to have a natural leader on the pitch, or off it for that matter, as manager Raymond Domenech has his foot halfway out the door already. Since the retirement of Zinedine Zidane in 2006, Domenech has totally lost control of the team, and the results have suffered. Another immensely talented team in this group is Uruguay, which have one of the better striker duos in the world in Diego Forlan and Luis Suarez. Inconsistency was a huge problem for the Uruguayans in qualifying, and the team barely advanced to the World Cup, needing a playoff victory over Costa Rica to qualify. Now that they are here, however, Uruguay is a team that can't be taken lightly due to its offensive prowess. Mexico also possesses a number of weapons offensively in Carlos Vela and Javier Hernandez up front, and Giovanni dos Santos in the midfield. In the build-up to the World Cup, Mexico played several high-profile opponents in preparation for this tough group and fared rather well, defeating Italy and dropping a pair of tight games with the Netherlands and England. That brings us to the final team in Group A, South Africa, which will attempt to avoid becoming the first host nation to fail to qualify for the knockout stages. Is South Africa just happy to be there, or can they actually feed off the emotion of the home crowd and make a Cinderella run? Let's get right to the predictions and find out. Starting from the bottom of the group, I believe the fourth place team here will be France. Remember when the French rolled over at the 2002 World Cup? Well, I think this team is in far worse shape than that bunch, which had also just come off a World Cup Finals appearance and win in the previous tournament. The lack of leadership is a huge concern in my eyes, plus it just seems to me that this team really doesn't care how they perform in the final days of the Domenech era. I think they'll steal a couple draws, but I really don't think France has what it takes to win games with such a fragile mindset. Moving on to the third place team in Group A. In my mind, it's Uruguay, a good team, but a very inconsistent one at the same time. Uruguay really didn't do much to impress me in qualifying and really only backed its way into the World Cup, much like France. The midfield is full of question marks. A lot of people are expecting a ton from young Nicolas Ladero, but the bottom line is that Uruguay lacks a midfield general that can change the course of a game. Look around the group and you'll see that France has Ribéry and Gourcuff, Mexico have Dos Santos, and South Africa has Pienaar. If Uruguay can't win a midfield battle, then its powerful strikers are less likely to perform to capacity. With France and Uruguay out of the way, that leaves South Africa and Mexico as the two teams I like to advance from this group. I have the South Africans placing second, level on points with Uruguay, but with a better goal differential, which is the first tiebreaker in the event of even points. South Africa fared well at the Confederations Cup in 2009, battling the likes of Brazil and Spain down to the final minutes. This team is a whole lot better now than it was then, and nobody in this group is anywhere near as good as the opposition Bafana Bafana faced last year. The experience from the Confederations Cup, plus the experience of manager Carlos Alberto Pereira, who led Brazil to glory in 1994, will be a huge intangible for the hosts. The crowds will be rowdy and very loud, and I just feel like South Africa has no choice but to put its best foot forward in its own tournament. By process of elimination, that leaves Mexico as the champion of Group A. I think Mexico will do just enough to edge South Africa and Uruguay in this group. Mexico has an advantage of being accustomed to high altitudes, so it won't need any time to get acclimated, which is a huge bonus considering it opens the tournament against South Africa in the thin air of Johannesburg. This match is so pivotal for Mexico, and it could ultimately determine the fate of the team. I think they get a draw, 1-1 in the opening match, and take care of business later in the group stage. There's a great mixture of youth and experience on Javier Aguirre's side, and Mexico has a lot more quality than people like to give it credit for. In my opinion, this is the strongest Mexican side in some time. Something tells me they're going to stick around a while this summer. Well, those are my predictions for Group A. Thank you for listening. Check out my blog, Off the Woodwork, for more previews and capsules of all 32 teams participating in the 2010 World Cup.